So today I'm going to be talking about Dupixent, which is a revolutionary reliever of eczema. First, I'm going to start by introducing eczema, which affects over 25% of the population worldwide. It is a chronic skin condition that embraces a range of ailments. In the early stages of eczema, you can see red, dry, and itchy skin, and as seen in the image, a more severe case of eczema can be described as crusty scales, painful cracks, or blisters that ooze fluid. The persistent disease that is composed with high emotional and physical burden usually starts in early childhood. Now I'm going to introduce Dupixent. So Dupixent is also known as dupilumab, which is a fully human monoclonal antibody that blocks interleukin-4 and interleukin-13 and has shown efficacy in patients with asthma. The blockage by Dupixent of these drivers of medicated inflammation could help in the treatment of related diseases, including eczema. And Dupixent is the first biological treatment for atopic eczema and is applied under the skin. And the images are showing the syringe that Dupixent comes in. So Dupixent is, as I said, a new treatment for severe eczema. It is known as a biological drug which works in unison with other drugs that are currently available for eczema. A biological drug is genetically modified organisms such as bacteria or cells cultured in a laboratory. These types of drugs have been used to treat severe physiological diseases such as psoriasis, asthma, and arthritis for several years. Healing drugs can be taken in a multitude of ways, including under the skin, in vein, or orally. And the images are showing the packaging that the syringe comes in. How is it administered? So Dupixent is administered under the skin, and it is repeated once every 2 weeks. Home injection is an option, however, it is also available to be injected in the doctor's office. Home injection is only for adults. And when conducting self-administration, the abdomen and inner thigh are the available options. However, when conducting the injection in the doctor's office, the most suitable option is the arm. And the first image is just showing the mechanism in which the syringe works. So how does it work? So there are chemical messengers in the body called interleukins, otherwise known as ILs, which allow different parts of the human's immune system to eradicate harmful viruses and bacteria. When an immune system contains eczema, it triggers these ILs, which result in the inflammation of the skin, and thus the itching and dry patches occur. The science behind Dupixent is through the blocking of these ILs. The drugs stop them from binding to their cells' receptors, thus preventing the immune system from overreacting. Through the blocking of the 2 ILs that I mentioned earlier, interleukin-4 and interleukin-13, Dupixent lowers the concentration of chronic inflammatory response, thus limiting the eczema reaction. And the image is just showing how allergens, viruses, and particles are affecting these interleukins. So immunosuppressive drugs versus biological drugs. As I mentioned before, Dupixent is a biological drug. However, in the past, the more common drugs that were formulated to treat eczema were immunosuppressive drugs. And these images are just showing the immunosuppressive drugs that have been formulated in the past. So immunosuppressive drugs suppress different chemical messengers that control inflammation. Biological drugs such as Dupixent suppress just 1 or 2 of these chemicals, Biological drugs have an advantage over immunosuppressive drugs because they cause less side effects by blocking fewer chemical messengers. So research-based evidence. Scientists have conducted clinical trials proving that Dupixent provides visible results in the reduction and severity of eczema on the skin. Patients who were treated with the drug described the result as a reduction in itching, improvement in sleep, and improved quality of life. Patients also mentioned that they were no longer needed to use a topical steroid while using Dupixent, and the images are showing the positive results of Dupixent within less than 12 months.